Hi, this is James with Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to learn one of my favorite button-shy solo games, and that's going to be The Last Lighthouse. And this is going to be designed by Scott Almes and published by Button-Shy Games. In The Last Lighthouse, you're going to be a lighthouse keeper, and you're going to try to keep the lighthouse lit, to defend against the nightmares and survive till dawn. Now, we did a Kickstarter review of this game, and I really loved it. Now, the rules are a little different here. So we're going to go down to the table. I'm going to show you how to play the game, but those rules are going to be updated. And I think that they're even better than what I played in the Kickstarter preview version. And I love that one, and I love this one. So let's go ahead down to the table here, and I'm going to show you how to play The Last Lighthouse. All right, so this is The Last Lighthouse. Now, we did a Kickstarter video of this, and this is going to be the final copy on here. And there are some pretty big changes to the rules here that we're going to go over in this. So, at the edge of the horizon, the nightmares begin. You and you alone defend the lighthouse that keeps them at bay. Can you keep this beacon shining until the dawn? Or will you succumb to the spreading darkness? Now, in this game, you're going to be trying to defend this lighthouse here against these nightmares that will be coming throughout the game here. And this is going to be the nightmare side, and this is going to be the trap side of the game. Now, there's a different setups that you can do for the game. If you're going to do easy mode, you're going to put out 1 nightmare and 3 traps. If you're going to do normal mode, you'll have, and we'll show you that one, you'll have 2 nightmares and 2 traps for setup. And if you're going to do hard mode, you're going to have 3 nightmares and 1 trap. And if you're going to do nightmare mode, you're going to have all 4 nightmares in here. But we're going to go ahead and start off with normal mode here. So we're going to set up the game, and we're going to shuffle this deck here, and we're going to deal out 2 nightmares and 2 traps for the game itself. In addition to that, we're going to go ahead and get out this Lighthouse card here and the double-sided Nightmare card. And we're going to place this on the 6, so we're going to show that we're going to have 6 health through the game. And this is going to be the gauge for our health, and it's going to move up and down throughout the game. And what we're going to try not to do is get it up to here where the skull hat is. And if it makes it to that skull, we're going to immediately lose the game. So we have this deck here. We're going to go ahead and deal ourselves out 4 cards. And when we look at these cards, we're going to be looking at them on the trap side, not the nightmare side. In addition, it's important to point out, too, that when we first set up this game, we're going to ignore when-placed abilities. So this one here has a when-placed ability. We're going to ignore it when we set up the game. But when we place out new nightmares, we can't ignore that. That's going to occur. So gameplay for this is going to go over rounds here until we run out of a deck. When we run out of the deck here, if we are still alive, we win the game. Otherwise, we've lost the game if we have died. Gameplay, your goal is to keep the lighthouse lit throughout the night. As nightmares attack and threaten to extinguish it, the game is going to consist of a series of rounds, each with 5 different steps. So these steps are just going to repeat over and over again until the game ends. You're going to take 2 actions here. You may take up to 2 actions in any order and combination. For each action, you may place a trap or defeat a nightmare. If you cannot perform either action, you will skip the step. So you can place a trap. If I'm placing a trap, I'm just going to be taking a look at my cards here, and I'm going to place a trap. Now, when you place a trap, you can put it in any position you want. I would suggest not putting it by the lighthouse, but you can put it anywhere you want. Now, there's a couple things to pay attention to on a trap. Now, this is a pretty simple trap here. This one here has a range of 1 on either side and can do 1 damage. In addition to that, I'll note that this little thing right here, all traps and monsters do 1 damage, but this is 1 health. So this one here is going to have 3 health, and this one's 2 health, and this one's 1 health with a range of 1 to right or left. Now, one of the other actions you can do here is going to be defeat a nightmare. So I could place a trap, or I could try to defeat a nightmare. Now I can take a look at these and see that this has a range 0, so I can't do anything with this one. This one can only hit to the right. And this one here has a range 2, so I could hit either of these, but I'm only doing 1 damage. And this one takes 3 damage, and this one takes 2 damage. So what I may want to do is take a look at my traps here. And like I said, you can repeat it, but you can only do 2 actions on your turn here. I may take a look at one of my traps and see if I can place a trap down to defeat one of these. So I know that this guy could do some damage, and he can reach the one on the far right. Maybe I would like to also place, but if I move these too much, their range is going to change. So there's a lot of different decisions to make, and I really don't have a whole lot. What I could do, and I'm not saying this is a good idea, but what I could do is this one has when defeated, choose one nightmare adjacent to the trap and discard it, which is really cool. So I'm going to go here and hope that they're going to aim for this. And this one has a distance of 2. This one has a distance of 1 to the right. I can destroy this minion. When I destroy the minion, it's going to go, or nightmare, it's going to go into my hand on the trap side. So I've just gained a card. And we're going to move these back into place. Now that was going to be 2 actions, one to place a trap and one to do defeat a nightmare. My turn would be over for that. One thing also to mention in this before we go to the next step here is going to be that there's never a hand limit here. I can have as many cards in my hand as I want. You're generally not going to have a ton, but you can have any number of cards in your hand. The next step is you're going to add a nightmare. You're going to draw 1 card and place it at the rightmost position. So this is a new nightmare. Now this one here has a when placed. Move this nightmare 3 spaces closer to the lighthouse. So it would be 1, 2, 3. So this will move down. And this will be the new setup that I have going here. Now, so you have when placed and when defeated. Never forget to do those things. So this one has a when defeated, but some of the other traps have a when placed. And like I said, the nightmares have the when placed and when defeated on them also, but make sure to do them, the when placed, when you place them down. Another important note too, when we're talking about destroying nightmares, you have to destroy the nightmare in the same action or trap. You can't accumulate damage and do it at different rounds or whatever. So I couldn't have done like 1 damage to this and then a different round or turn do another damage. Same with the nightmares. They all have to finish them off at one time. So now we're on to step 3, nightmares attack. First, the nightmares attempt to attack the lighthouse. For each nightmare within range of the lighthouse is damaged by 1. Then continue to step 4. So these two are both, so this one here actually is in range of the lighthouse, and it's going to deal 1 damage to it. This one's not, because that'll hit to here, but they have done damage to the lighthouse. If they didn't do damage to the lighthouse, more stuff is going to happen. So if the lighthouse is not attacked, the nightmares try to defeat a trap, starting with a leftmost trap. Nightmares attacks are like trap attacks. Each nightmare can deal 1 damage within its range. So let's say I didn't hit the lighthouse for some reason. These two would attack this trap and it would be destroyed. But it did do damage to the lighthouse, so we skip that. All right, so one thing that I would mention too is if they did defeat this trap, then the defeated text would fire off, and I would get that ability immediately before it is destroyed. Now we're going on to step 4, which is going to be the tide change. The leftmost card in the sea is affected by the tide. If it's a nightmare, move it to the right side so it'll stay around. If it's a trap, remove it, so the trap would be removed here. So these would all move back down. Then we're going to survey the sea. If there's 4 nightmares in a row anywhere in the sea, the lighthouse takes another damage. Right now, we have 2 nightmares, so we're okay. All right, so let's go through the next round here. So the next round I have up to 2 actions here. This one can attack either this one or this one. They're both in range. But this is a 3 and a 1. So the first thing I could do is I could destroy this one here. And then I would get this in my hand. Move that down, so my first action there. The next thing I might want to do is I will go ahead and I don't have to do both, but I will go ahead and place this one down for future stuff because now I have a lot going to the right here. So my turn would end because I took 2 actions in here. I couldn't defeat this guy, so it's going to come up and it's going to deal another damage to my lighthouse. Now I'm down to 4 health. All right, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to, since it did damage to the lighthouse, it's not going to defeat a trap. Then we're going to go ahead and look at the sea here. We're going to move this guy over and these traps will move down. Okay, now that I took my 2 actions, we're going to go ahead and step 2 here. We're going to add a nightmare. And this nightmare has a win defeated, so that won't happen right now. Then we're going to go ahead and see if we can damage the lighthouse. And we're at 5 now. It can, and we're at 4 here. And then we're going to go ahead and, since it was able to damage the lighthouse, it's not going to take out a trap. But we're going to go ahead and the tides change. It's going to move down, and these 2 guys are going to move over. All right? And then we're going to survey the sea. We only have 2 nightmares, so we're still okay. And then we're going to go on to our next round. I'm going to take a look at my cards. I'm going to take 2 actions and so on. And we're going to keep on going until this deck runs out here or we lose the game. Now, a couple additional notes in this game here is traps and nightmares have effects that occur when placed or defeated. You must resolve these effects if possible. So whether I want to or not, I have to resolve these effects. A card's placement effects only trigger when it is placed in the sea according to the place a trap player action, place a nightmare in step 2, or an effect that says place. So that means that these when placed only happen when they're placed. They don't happen when it moves or any other time, just when placed. When a trap or nightmare with a placement effect enters the sea, activate only that effect. Do not activate other placement effects. So just the placement one that we did, the card that we did. A card defeat effect only triggers when it is defeated by direct damage from other cards, not when it's removed due to others' effects. So if I remove a card due to another effect, so I had this trap here, that said, when defeated, choose one nightmare adjacent to the trap and discard it. It's not defeated. As cards enter the sea, shift the existing cards to make room as needed. As cards leave, shift the remaining cards to close the gap. So just basically keep your line as the game goes by. Cards in the sea may never be moved to the left of the lighthouse. If a card is adjacent to the lighthouse, it must move farther left. It stays in the same position. So let's say I put a card down here, needs to move 3. It can't go past the lighthouse, so it's just going to stay right beside the lighthouse. And that's it. That's going to be how you're going to play the last lighthouse. You're going to keep on going until, like I said, this deck runs out here, and everything gets resolved, or we die. And that's how you play the last lighthouse. Thank you for watching.